My name is Gloria Thompson. I'm 29 years old, and for a long time, I thought I had everything figured out. For 3 years, I was with Ethan. When we first met, he was this whirlwind, spontaneous, unpredictable, and a little reckless, but so alive. I was the grounded one. I liked plans, lists, stability. I worked in finance, not because I loved crunching numbers, but because it was practical. It meant a future, a home, a life we could build together. While Ethan's friends hopped from one influencer dream to another, living on credit cards and wild schemes, I was laying down bricks, not just for myself, but for us. I wanted us to have something solid when the noise of their chaos faded. A year ago, I even turned down a major promotion. It would have fast-tracked me to a senior position, but it required me to move out of state for a year. Ethan made it clear he didn't want long distance. So, without hesitation, I stayed. I thought love meant choosing him over ambition. I thought we were on the same page about our future. But lately, something had shifted. It was subtle at first. His eyes stayed on his phone more than on me. A quick smirk, a hidden chuckle he wouldn't explain. His comments about my safe little job grew sharper, almost mocking. Weekends I spent budgeting or fixing up our apartment became jokes to him. "Gloria, do you ever live?" He'd laugh. I brushed it off, convincing myself it was just stress or a passing mood. So I doubled down on being dependable, the rock in the storm. Ethan started posting more online, too. His captions were all about freedom, living wild, finding more. Performative, I thought. A phase. I trusted him. Or maybe I just wanted to trust what we'd built. The betrayal didn't come with a dramatic explosion. It crept in quietly, hidden in the smallest detail. One morning, I couldn't find my phone charger. Our apartment wasn't big, so I knew it had to be nearby. I checked under the couch cushions, and that's when I saw it. Ethan's phone, screen lit, buzzing with a notification. A message banner stretched across the top. It was from someone I didn't recognize. The words made my stomach drop, explicit, unmistakable. My hand trembled as I scrolled. The thread was long. Inside jokes, late-night plans, and then me. Pictures of our apartment. A selfie of me, asleep in bed, captioned with, "Guess who I'm ditching tonight." I didn't feel heartbreak. I felt nothing. A strange, cold emptiness. I walked into the kitchen. Ethan was there, humming as he made coffee, casual as ever. "Morning, babe," he said, smiling like nothing had changed. I held up his phone. My voice came out flat. "What is this?" His smile vanished. In an instant, irritation replaced it. He snatched the phone from my hand. "What the hell, Gloria? You snooping through my stuff?" "No," I said evenly. "I found it under the couch. Don't play dumb. Who is she?" He sipped his coffee, eyes narrowing. He didn't deny it, not even a flicker of guilt. Instead, he smirked. "You're overreacting. She's just a friend." I forced the words out, low and steady. "A friend who asks what you're doing to get rid of me?" The silence between us was sharp, like glass about to break. And for the first time, I realized just how far away Ethan already was. Ethan's smirk lingered, that condescending twist of his mouth I used to mistake for charm. He leaned against the counter, coffee mug in hand like we were discussing the weather. "Look, Gloria," he said finally, tone almost bored. "I'm not going to apologize for what I need, and what you're giving me isn't it." The words hit like stones. He wasn't shouting. He wasn't even angry. He was smug, certain. "You're safe," he went on, swirling the mug casually. "Predictable, stable. That might be someone's dream, but it's not mine. I want more. I want excitement." "You? You're a mortgage before we even have a house, a steady job that keeps you chained. I don't want to be held back." I couldn't stop the bitter laugh that rose in my throat. "Held back? Ethan, I turned down a promotion, an entire career path for you. I stayed when I could have been halfway across the country chasing something bigger. I did that because I thought we were building something together." He rolled his eyes, dismissive. "And that's the problem. You think the finish line is a steady paycheck and a condo with beige walls. I'm not ready to play house. I want someone who's not afraid to live." The arrogance in his voice was unbearable. He wasn't just rejecting me, he was rewriting everything we'd shared, everything I'd sacrificed, as some kind of mistake. I didn't argue. I didn't plead. Somewhere inside me, something snapped, not with fury, but with clarity. His words no longer had the power to wound. I turned without another word and went to the bedroom. My duffel bag was still at the top of the closet, half buried under winter coats. I dragged it down, the zippers rasped louder than his voice behind me. "What are you doing?" he demanded, following me. His irritation was finally breaking into something less controlled. "Gloria, seriously, you're being dramatic." "I'm leaving," I said flatly, folding clothes into the bag. My voice didn't shake. My hands didn't falter. There was no fire left to fuel, just ice. "You're just gonna walk out?" He sounded almost incredulous, like the thought had never even crossed his mind. "After everything, you're just gonna give up?" I looked at him then. Really looked. His posture, his smirk, the mask of a boy who thought the world owed him more than it had given. And for the first time, I saw him clearly. "Yes," I said simply. The finality in my tone seemed to stun him more than any screaming match could have. I zipped the bag, slung it over my shoulder, and walked past him. The silence in the apartment was deafening, broken only by the sharp click of the front door lock behind me. Outside, the cool air hit my skin like a baptism. I felt no tears, no rage, just an eerie calm. That night, I crashed on my friend Marissa's couch. She didn't press for details. She handed me a blanket, made tea, and said nothing. The quiet was unbearable at first. For 3 years, I had been the anchor in a storm of Ethan's chaos. Without his whirlwind, the stillness felt foreign. But beneath the silence, something small flickered, something that felt like freedom. Within a week, I found a tiny studio apartment. It was barely more than a box with a stove, but when I closed the door behind me, it felt like a palace. It was mine. No shared chaos, no hidden phones under couches, just clean lines, fresh air, and solitude. I blocked Ethan's number, then his friends, then even his brother, anyone who could tether me back to him. Not out of anger, but out of necessity. I needed the line cut clean. The hardest part wasn't the pain, it was the quiet. But slowly, the quiet began to sound less like emptiness and more like peace. And then, through whispers and mutual friends, the news began to trickle in. Ethan wasn't just moving on. He was parading his new life with someone else. Lavish dinners, weekend trips, filtered smiles plastered all over social media. Captions like, "finally free" and "living my best life" screamed louder than his grin ever could. It was a performance, a stage play meant for me, for everyone we knew. He wanted the world to see he had upgraded. But performances never last forever. At first, I ignored it. The photos, the captions, the endless parade of adventure Ethan posted with his new girlfriend. Expensive restaurants, neon concerts, weekend trips to nowhere in particular, all filtered in gold and blue. I could almost hear his voice in every caption. "Look at me, Gloria. Look what you'll never have." It was curated, deliberate, like he was performing for an audience of one, and for a while, it worked. People we both knew commented with little hearts and clapping emojis. "So happy for you too. What a glow up." But the cracks came quickly. They always do. My friend Alex was the first to say something. We met for coffee, and after some hesitation, he leaned in across the table. "You know Ethan's new life?" he asked carefully. "It's all fake." I raised an eyebrow. I hadn't planned to indulge in gossip, but curiosity edged in. "Fake how?" Alex sighed. "That girl. He's living off her, completely. Rent, dinners, trips, all on her credit cards. Ethan doesn't have a real job. He's running the same half-baked crypto schemes he was pitching last year. You know how that ended." A bitter laugh escaped me before I could stop it. Of course. Ethan wasn't building a new life. He was draining someone else's. Weeks later, another voice chimed in. This time it was Lisa, a mutual friend who still followed him online. She sent me a string of texts late one night. "Gloria, you won't believe this. Ethan got caught cheating again. The girl he's with? She found out through another woman blasting him all over social media." I scrolled through screenshots Lisa forwarded, posts of a furious woman exposing Ethan, his lies, his manipulations, his double life. It wasn't subtle, it wasn't private. It was public humiliation, the kind you can't clean up with pretty filters. And suddenly his feed changed. The bold captions stopped. The extravagant outings disappeared. The smiling photos dwindled. In their place, silence. Hesitant, vague posts with no likes, no fanfare. I could almost picture him, hunched over his phone, scrolling through comments, desperate for the validation that had once fueled him. Lisa messaged again. "He's a mess." Screaming matches with her in public. People are sick of it. Even his closest friends are pulling away. I set my phone down. For the first time in months, I felt a sharp, unexpected pang of something that wasn't hurt. It wasn't satisfaction exactly, it was clarity. Ethan hadn't left me for a better life. He had left me for a disaster dressed as freedom. And that was when my own phone lit up. At first, I didn't recognize the number, just a short, desperate line. "Hey, it's me. Can we talk?" I stared at the message until it blurred. My phone's spam filter had tucked it into a separate folder, as if the universe itself wanted to shield me. I deleted it without replying. But Ethan wasn't done. More texts came, each more frantic than the last. Long apologies, pleas for forgiveness, rambling paragraphs about mistakes and lessons learned. One message read, "You were the only one who ever really cared about me. I miss what we had. Please, Gloria." I didn't answer, not a word. But as the days passed, the texts piled higher. His desperation seeped through every line. And slowly, the pressure spread. One evening, a message popped up from a number I did recognize, his brother's. "Gloria, please, he's not doing well. You're the only one he'll listen to." I scoffed out loud. The same brother who used to mock me for being boring, now begging for my help. Then came a message from his best friend. "She's in a dark place. Be the bigger person. Call him." The hypocrisy was suffocating. These were the same people who had laughed at his jokes at my expense, who had cheered him on as he flaunted his new adventure. Now they wanted me to clean up his mess. I blocked them all, one by one. I had cut the rope once. I wasn't about to tie it back around my neck. But deep down, I knew it was only a matter of time before Ethan's desperation stopped hiding behind screens and came clawing back into my life in person. The messages didn't stop. If anything, they multiplied, filling my spam folder like weeds, suffocating in their desperation. I made a huge mistake. "Gloria, I swear I've changed. Please just give me one chance to explain." I never answered, not once, but the silence seemed to make him louder. Some of his messages turned manipulative. "You're cruel for ignoring me. I know you still care." Others were drenched in pity. "I can't sleep. I can't eat. I need you." The man who once sneered at my boring stability was now clawing for scraps of the very life he'd thrown away. Then came the calls, not from Ethan, but from the people around him. His brother texted me again. "He's not okay, Gloria. You're the only one who can pull him out of this." His best friend messaged late at night. "She's learned her lesson. Be the bigger person. Please just call him." "She," I repeated bitterly when I read it. That slip of the tongue said it all. To them, Ethan's chaos was always someone else's problem to fix. He was always the tragic hero in their story, never the villain. But I remembered the words he threw at me in the kitchen. "I'm not going to apologize for what I need." He hadn't apologized then. He didn't regret what he'd done. He only regretted the consequences. I blocked every single one of them. His brother, his friends, every mutual connection. My phone grew quieter by the day until finally there was only silence again. It should have ended there, but I should have known Ethan wasn't capable of letting go without one last performance. A few weeks later, I had friends over to my new condo. We were piecing together furniture, half laughing, at the crooked bookshelf I insisted I could fix without directions. Music filled the room, warm and alive. It felt like the first time in years I could breathe without holding my chest tight. Then the doorbell rang. I thought it was the pizza delivery until I looked out the window. A car I knew too well sat at the curb, and standing in front of my building was Ethan. He looked nothing like the man I remembered. His hair was messy, unkempt. His clothes hung loose, no designer labels or flashy colors this time, just faded jeans and a tired hoodie. His shoulders slumped under an invisible weight. My stomach didn't twist. My heart didn't race. I didn't feel fear. What I felt was annoyance, like a fly buzzing in a room where I had finally found peace. When I stepped outside, he lit up, eyes wet, a trembling smile breaking across his face. "Gloria," he said softly, voice fraying at the edges. "Thank God. I had to see you. I had to tell you." I cut him off. "What are you doing here, Ethan?" His eyes darted to the laughter drifting from inside my apartment, then back to me. His lip trembled. "I'm so sorry. I was such an idiot. Everything I thought I wanted, it was a lie. She destroyed me. She cheated on me. She took my money. His voice cracked. "She said things no one should ever hear. I thought I was chasing freedom, but all I found was hell." Tears spilled over, running down his cheeks. His body shook with the performance of a broken man, and maybe, once upon a time, that would have been enough to pull me back. But standing there, I realized something chilling. It wasn't love that had brought him here. It wasn't even regret. It was hunger. Hunger for shelter, for safety, for the soft place he had burned to the ground. And I was no longer that place. Ethan's tears dripped into the collar of his hoodie. His voice cracked again, softer now, trembling with the kind of desperation that used to break me. I was wrong, Gloria, about everything. You were the only one who was ever real, the only one who cared. I miss you. I miss us. Please, just give me another chance. I can do better this time. For a heartbeat, I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because of the irony. Months ago, those words would have shattered me. Now they sounded like lines from a bad play. I steadied my voice, calm and unshaken. You once told me you weren't going to apologize for what you need. Do you remember? He froze, his lips parted, but no sound came out. You said I was just a stepping stone, I continued, my tone even, a placeholder until you found someone better. His face crumpled. Gloria, I didn't mean... But you were right, I cut in. You were a stepping stone, but not the way you think. He blinked, confused, like the script he'd prepared had suddenly been ripped from his hands. You taught me that my worth isn't measured by what I can provide for someone else. You taught me the only person who can hold me back is me. I gestured toward the apartment behind me. The hum of voices, the sound of laughter spilling out into the night. I took the promotion. I bought this place. I built a life I'm proud of, without you. Ethan's expression shifted, panic cracking into anger. His tears dried into something sharper. So that's it? He hissed. After everything you just slammed the door in my face? You think you're better than me now? I didn't flinch. I smiled. A real smile. I don't think about you at all. His face twisted. For a split second, the mask slipped, revealing the hollow man beneath, the one who needed to tear others down to feel whole. I stepped back toward the door. Goodbye, Ethan. The door closed behind me with a quiet click, not a slam. Final, definite. Inside, the warmth of my new life wrapped around me. My friends laughed at something in the living room. Someone handed me a slice of pizza. Music pulsed softly through the air. I didn't glance back at the window. I didn't need to. Ethan was outside, and I was home. The silence I once feared had transformed into a symphony,